Hi there. I'm Dr. Shiroko Sokitch, owner of Heart to Heart Medical Center and the author of the book, Healing When It Seems Impossible. And I'm super excited to be with you here today. I haven't been here for a few weeks, and I wanted to talk to you about actually healthy kids and happy moms. My friend Sheila Kilbane, Dr. Sheila Kilbane, was going to be on with me, and maybe she's had some technical difficulties, so I'm waiting for her. But while I'm waiting for her, I'm going to talk about her book, the Healthy Kids, Happy Moms. And here is the book. And she's an awesome pediatrician, and she has been in practice for a number of years doing functional medicine. And here she is coming along. Hi there, Sheila.
Hi.
About you. We're live already.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
So I'm talking
about yay.
Yay. Yeah. And so I was just starting to talk about what was in this book and how great you are and what is going on.
Oh.
And so now you get to tell everybody yourself. It looks like you're in a parking lot.
I'm at my office. I'm out. My office is that blue building. So we have right next door, there's a little porch. And of course, like everyone, I want to be outside as much as possible. So I'm going to put these in. How is my sound okay?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So and you probably said this, but Shiroko, we probably met. It was like 2015 or 16, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In a
15,
group.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love when you shared with me what you were doing. And we frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we're frozen. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Well, am I back now?
A little bit jiggly.
Let me.
Yeah.
Let me put it on my hotspot and see if this. All right. Am I frozen now?
Yep. Sheila, I think I lost you now. You might have to log back in. Okay. Well, even though you see, there you are.
Okay. All right.
I lost you for a little bit. Yeah, that's okay.
A minute. Okay. So anyway, we both practice integrative functional medicine, and so I do it in the pediatric realm, and I started when I got into integrative medicine because when I started practicing out of residency, I realized I was seeing the same kids over and over, right? And it was the kids with eczema, chronic runny nose, reflux, recurrent ear and sinus infections. And then they would get asthma, allergies. They would have abdominal pain, maybe constipation or loose stools. And we would do a medication, whether it was a steroid or an antibiotic or a laxative. We would do a medication for 2 weeks and they would get better. But then after we stopped the medication, they would get another flare up of whatever the issue was. So I would see these kids almost once a month or every other month. And I'm just not somebody who will keep doing the same thing over and over. And so I just kept reading and studying and listening to moms. And I remember it so clearly. One of the moms said to me, it was a baby I'd been seeing since he was born, and he was about 9 months old. And he had recurrent ear infections and eczema. And the mom said to me, Dr. Kilbane, I took dairy out of my diet. She was still breastfeeding. And Johnny's eczema improved. I'm like, well, and I laugh now about how I really had no idea. This was just a foreign concept to me because we don't, at least when I trained, I did not get nutritional training. And so then I said, well, I don't know why that is, but keep it out of your diet. And then I'll call my friends who are naturopathic doctors who do study about nutrition, and I'll figure out what we're going to do when you decide you're finished breastfeeding. And so with the same patient, he was still getting the ear infections. But then we figured out, Mom, one day before his 1 year well visit, Mom had a big plate of eggs, so a big omelet, and he had a huge eczema flare. And so then we said, okay, so dairy and eggs. And then after we pulled eggs out, then the eczema fully resolved. And then the chronic fluid that had been in his ears resolved as well. So then I just started, continuing to make these changes and really seeing so many of these issues just either melt away or improve significantly. And I don't know about you, Shiroko, but I just thought this must be a fluke, because if this were really happening, somebody would have told me about it. I would have learned about this. And so I kept doing it and kept practicing and realizing that as I would make these nutrition changes, we were seeing all these other things improve as well. So the constipation would go away, but then the kids would also sleep better, and they would be able to focus better at school. They may handle transitions better. And so then that's when I, ultimately then went on and studied integrative medicine.
Yeah. I had a slightly different trajectory because I got into Chinese medicine from surgery. So a little bit different, but
did you do surgery?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I did general surgery in my residency, and then had sort of a midlife crisis and quit after 2 years, and decided I couldn't figure out what else I wanted to do, or I hadn't quite quit, but I was like, what else do I want to do? And I was still working in my residency, and somebody gave me this book on Chinese medicine, The Web That Has No Weaver. And I started reading it, and I cannot remember who gave it to me or how the conversation arose, but I started reading it and I fell in love with the whole concept. And it made sense to me. And one of the reasons that surgery didn't satisfy me is because I had this whole issue about pain and the suffering that people had when they were, in physical pain. So in the burn unit, and we did a lot of, trauma, and there was so much pain, and the drugs didn't really work. So that's where I came, what can I do to help people with pain? Yes. And then when I read acupuncture, and acupuncture can help somebody get rid of pain in seconds, sometimes. So sometimes it takes a little longer, sometimes it takes more than one treatment, but sometimes within seconds, I can put the needle in the right place and the pain will go away. I've done that with, people with headaches and migraines and things like that. But then my discovery about nutrition was after that. I was like, okay, acupuncture can help certain things, but then again, there's foods that affect people's mood and life and existence a lot too. And so slowly I started, after studying acupuncture, I started studying functional medicine. So it was my path.
Yes. What a gift to have that knowledge of, because those of us who do integrative and functional medicine, I mean, acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine is yet an entirely other field and another tool to the toolbox. And one place, because we refer kids fairly regularly to an acupuncturist, and especially if we have kids with GI issues, and if we may get to a certain point, or like a small intestine bacterial overgrowth, or they're just the bloating. If we kind of get stuck, we incorporate acupuncture, and in teenage girls with acne, it can be such a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it makes and especially in kids, because they respond so quickly to those changes. Yeah, it's wonderful to see. I have this adorable little 2 kids from the same family. One is 3 and one is 5, that they have gut issues, and dairy and eggs and gluten were their three. Oh, and almonds was the other food that they were reacting to. But even then, not everything went away. So then with the acupuncture, it's like it's that like final touch.
Yes, yes. And it's that, right, because it really helps to restore that digestive function. It's,
Yeah.
and balancing the system, but that's what we pay a lot of attention to, really restoring good digestive function, because we ultimately want our bodies to be digesting and absorbing our nutrients from our food. And that's how we're going to get the long lasting results, and how we really start. I always call it the magic, right? You really start to see the magic happen when the bowels are moving every day, and we've got good gallbladder function, and we have the bile from our gallbladder, which you would talk about a lot in traditional Chinese medicine. And in conventional medicine, we take out a lot of gallbladders, right? And and especially in kids, as we don't think, because kids don't, not many kids get their gallbladders removed, but we don't necessarily always talk about that aspect of things. And the liver produces some bile as well, right? So it's good. We want that good movement of the GI tract, and we want good bile flow so we can absorb our fats and our proteins, right? Our fats make up our hormones and our cell walls, and our proteins make up our neurotransmitters. And so it's extraordinarily important. And I love acupuncture as a great adjunct for that.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Do you see many kids?
I see a few kids. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they come, most of them have GI issues. Yeah. So they're either the children of some of my patients, or somebody referred them, because one of my patients is a pediatric nurse practitioner. And so she's sending me a fair number of kids now, because I've had such success with the ones she sent me. So, yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us about your book a little bit more. So,
yes. So it's
about and how it works. And
yes. So I have a copy of it right here. So it's Healthy Kids, Happy Moms, and it's 7 steps to heal and prevent common childhood illnesses. And it's the process that I use in my private practice. And I've been developing it over many years. And I have a wonderful team. I have an integrative pharmacist who works with me, a naturopathic doctor, and we have a nurse practitioner. And really our integrative pharmacist, and I we really bring, because we each have a little bit different training. And so the process that we've developed is it's a step by step, and I lay it all out in the book. And it's kind of 3 books in one. So the first 10 chapters are the science and the how-to and the cases, or not the how-to, but the cases. And then the second section is the how-to, and the third section are the recipes. And then there's an appendix where I have tons of resources. And the book, it's really, when we were doing the editing, we really kept the chapters are short, and it's full color. So we've got, just trying to look here, we've got these really great images to help explain things. And I talk about, how to look at the triggers of inflammation. I always lay it out, and we have 5 main triggers of inflammation. And I'll go through those in a minute, but we go through the triggers of inflammation, and it's understanding that inflammation is illness. And in conventional medicine, we often assign a diagnosis code to symptoms, and symptoms are, most of the time our symptoms are related. And when we've got inflammation in one area of the body, we've got inflammation in other areas. And so then I go through and we talk about gut health, and we talk about food and supplements, and then we talk about the roadmap and how It's, what do we do moving forward? And I really like families to think about health and planning your health and preparing for your health the same way you would plan a trip, the same way, right? The amount of time and effort families may spend, or we might spend when we're going on a really fun trip or to Disney World or something. I want families to start thinking about planning their health out and kind of planning their food out for the week in that same way. And really look at when do you have tight time changes between a pickup from school and maybe soccer practice or something like that. And so in the first thing that I'll kind of go through with everyone is that I always lay it out of the triggers, understanding the triggers of inflammation before we start doing anything with nutrition or anything like that. Is we want to understand where we are. And so that, and that's really looking at what are the symptoms and understanding that. So it can be reflux, eczema, chronic runny nose, allergies, asthma, constipation, abdominal pain. These kids might have dark circles under their eyes. They may be mouth breathing and snoring, and maybe have bumps on the back of their arms or their cheeks or their thighs. And so that the triggers can be, and I would never claim that we cure everything. What the aim is to understand as best we can the way the kids are put together and the way their bodies process food, so that we can help make that environment within their system that their cells are in as healthy as possible. And so we know that we've all got our underlying genetics, and it's a way that our genes interact with the 5 triggers of inflammation. So it's food, environmental allergies, environmental toxins, infectious diseases, and stress. And right, they can all impact us equally. And we can never be perfect in any one of those categories. So the goal is to really look at what can we do in each category, and how do we decrease that inflammation? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. It's common. It's similar for adults, looking for what's the cause of the inflammation and where did it come from. But I think with kids, the food is even more like such a quick result when they stop. Like I had one kid that was like 16 and she had migraines every single day. And was referred to me for that. And in the first treatment, I said, stop dairy. And that got rid of her migraines. And she never came back. That was it. That's like solved the problem.
Yeah.
So it can be such an easy solution sometimes, not always, but sometimes it can be that easy.
Exactly. And those are the situations why I wrote the book, because once you understand this, a mom or a dad is able to read the book and kind of go, oh, wow, that really resonates with me. Now that I'm hearing this and seeing this, every time, Sherry has dairy, the headache gets worse, or she's complaining of bellyache, or, whatever it is. And again, it's not always dairy with everyone. It's not always eggs. It can be different foods for different kiddos. And that's where I walk you through and I talk about the main, we've got 11 foods that cause 90% of our issues. And it doesn't mean that they're all unhealthy foods. It just means that if foods are playing a role in triggering some inflammation, chances are it's going to be one or more of those top foods. And it's a familiar list, right? It's dairy, soy, wheat, corn, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, shellfish, and then citrus and sesame. Those are on the list, but those are much lower on the list. And so the way that I approach this is we just do one thing at a time. So the first thing I have you do in the book is to do a mini cleanse for kids, is what I call it. And we just give you one thing to do each day And you could do it one thing for the week or one thing for the month. You can do it as slowly as you need to, but we focus on adding in the good and removing things like the sugary drinks, artificial dyes and colors, and then we just talk about, can we decrease our packaged snacks a little bit and do either fruit, vegetable, some nuts if your kids tolerate them, seeds, even hard-boiled eggs, something like that. And then we talk about processed meats, which are really have a lot of nitrates, the hot dogs, deli meats, things like that. And then we talk about processed fats. And every time you go out to eat, the food is being cooked in cheap pro-inflammatory oils. So just by eating at home, we can start to decrease, to tip that balance. We want to decrease that inflammation so that our cells are able to work optimally and efficiently. And then the 7th day of the changes that we do are just to get outside more, decrease screen time, have that fun that we have with. When you're feeling better, you can have more of those belly laughs that you have, right? It's that when you're those little idiosyncrasies that we have about our human condition is, I mean, how much fun is it to have one of those really good belly laughs with a kid, with anybody really? And when you're feeling good, and I always recommend the whole family do the program together, it just makes everything more fun, I think.
And there are sometimes when the family, I'm sure you see this all the time, is that the parents may not know that they have that sensitivity. And then when they stop those foods and they start following your program, they start feeling better. And it may be so subtle that they didn't notice until they started following that program as well. So, yeah.
Yes. And which is why I like to have parents do it with the kids, because once you know how it feels with yourself, you can be a better advocate for the kids, and you know what to look for, and you know how things are, what to ask them, how to ask them, what they're feeling. And I have in the book, I developed a symptom tracker. So it goes through the main symptoms and you rank them and you get a score. And so that you can track over time, really, because it's hard to remember. And when they go, if you go from having maybe 3 bowel movements a week and then you're having 5 bowel movements a week, that's a big improvement, but you won't always remember. So I really have you quantify and really go through and look at and assign a number to it so that you could track it over time.
Oh, that's so cool. That's nice. Do you have any special tips that you want to leave everybody with today before we sign off? Any special suggestions?
So if you're going to do, I would just start with one change, and it would be to add a green smoothie to breakfast. So if we can do away with milk and cereal and bagels and cream cheese and toaster treats and do a green smoothie, and if for kids who are picky, you can do a lot of fruit and maybe you do 1 leaf of lettuce or 1 leaf of spinach. Our health coach calls those a beginner smoothie. So that then as they start to like this, you can start to decrease the fruit and you increase the greens, and then you could maybe add in a little chia seed, flaxseed, hemp seed, and that's chock full of micronutrients, those antioxidants and fiber, and that fiber becomes the food for the bacteria in the gut. And you can do that, and then maybe you have a piece of maybe you have some toast with nut butter or avocado toast, or so that you're getting some fat, some protein, and then something colorful in the smoothie. And that's going to last the kids until lunchtime.
And have them be happy throughout the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And you want to say where we can find your book? Is it anywhere? Any
Yes,
bookstore?
yeah. Anywhere books are sold, and if you can go to my website, SheilaKilbane.com, and if you go to SheilaKilbane.com/book, there we've got a bunch of great free downloads and just supportive material, and we'll have the companion course out here in the next 4 to 6 weeks that goes right along with the book. Yes, yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. Well, I'll look forward to sharing that with everybody. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes,
taking time out of your busy practice.
Thank you, Shiroko. I appreciate it. And
My
love
pleasure.
all the things that you are doing.
Likewise. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.